Hello everyone, very good evening and welcome to StudyIQ IAS English. I'm Abhishek Singh and I welcome you all to the new episode, to the new lecture of India's Ancient Past by R.S. Sharma. And in this lecture, we are going to talk about the following topic, that is the territorial states and rise of Magadh. Basically, in this lecture, we will be discussing about how were the territorial states, how were these states formed, which led to the emergence of the Mahajanapadas, and particularly how did the Magadh emerge as the leading Mahajanapada. Alright, so we will be talking about all these points in this lecture. So good evening everybody, those who have joined, most welcome. Disha, good evening. Sarvendra, good evening. Mantasha, Saeed, very good evening to all of you. Guys, quickly share this session with your friends as well. And I hope that all those people who were actually looking for the only English medium of instruction, so for them this is a great opportunity, and in fact for us also it's a big pleasure that we are actually catering to the students who exclusively want the exam oriented content. Now, as we all are aware that StudyIQ always strives to provide the best possible opportunities for the students to learn the exact required content, to get the exact required guidance for the purpose of the civil services examination. And therefore today, that is 22nd of July, so from today onward, we have just few more hours left. I think probably a couple of hours more is left when we are going to start. We are going to launch our new batch, that is the evening batch of Prelims to Interview program. And here in this, we are going to offer you not just the completely English medium batch, but also for the students who are looking to get English as well as the Hindi medium batches. All of these types of batches are going to be provided, and remember that you are going to get extremely precious guidance along with the curated programs which will help you to crack the civil services examination in 2024. But for that, you need to join this program as soon as possible, and if you want to use the price of this particular course that is given here, 29,999 rupees, then you have to use the code of mine, and that is ASR Live. Alright, so let's now proceed to the topic. So what is this topic about? Actually, we had understood about the rise of heterodox religions in the previous lecture. We understood about the prevalent conditions during the Later Vedic period and the reactions of the society on the situations which were prevalent in that time period. And we also understood one point, that here the use of iron in the mid-Gangetic Valley, particularly in the eastern UP and in the western Bihar, or you can say simply the UP and Bihar region, including some areas of the Tarai of Nepal also. So the use of iron particularly led to the great consequences, and if you observe the geography of this region, let me tell you that the geography always impacts the development of history, as we have always studied in this entire series. And you can observe the geography of this entire region, and what is the most visible fact, that this entire area is irrigated by a great number of rivers. Alright, so the region starting all over from the Awadh and moving as far as up to the Bhagalpur region in Bihar, we can have one common feature, that all these areas, they are well irrigated by the perennial rivers, perennial rivers. Okay, what are the perennial rivers? Perennial rivers are basically the rivers which always have the supply of water. have the supply of water. So which means that there was no shortage of the water availability, and the first thing, and second thing is that when the perennial rivers are there, they lead to the emergence of the river plains or the riverine plains. Okay, remember that these riverine plains also received the great amount of rainfall, and due to which it became a little bit difficult for the early settlers to develop their civilizational growth. Why so? Because due to the dense forest region, it was not possible for the bronze based or bronze age settlers to develop a civilization here. But as the iron was discovered, where was it discovered? We had studied in the previous lectures that iron uses, they had been uncovered from the places such as Magadh, or the places like Atranji Kheda, or even in the places which are quite far from the plains, that is the plateau of Karnataka. Even from the plateau of Karnataka as well, we have discovered the use of iron, but that is not convenient to discuss that here in this topic, because this is unrelated to the development of the Magadh Mahajanpad. However, iron was also discovered later on in the regions like Malwa. Remember that as soon as we discovered the iron first or second, that is contested either in Magadh or in Atranji Kheda, approximately around 800 to 1200 BCE, that is the approximate time period. Remember that after that what happened? After that, the cutting of the forest and cleaning of the forest became extremely easy, resulting into the spreading of the Vedic culture and civilization to the mid Gangetic regions. All right, everyone. And eventually the iron was also discovered in the southern Bihar region. Now we have to understand the geographical and economic causes which resulted into the establishment of the settled urban and well developed cultural centers in these areas, which eventually developed as a market, and after the market that grew to the bigger state, these centers became the urban centers. And once they became urban center, now this was easier for the ruler of those urban centers to gather the taxes, to collect the taxes, and ultimately this tax collection, this tax collection was also because of the use of the iron tools in the agriculture, leading to the growth of agriculture as well as the production surplus. So what is the entire sequence? The sequence is that first of all, the people in the Vedic culture, they came, settled in the northwest, then they started to move towards the mid Gangetic valley because of the invention of iron. And once the iron tools were invented, what happened? The iron tools led to the emergence of the warrior classes as well as the emergence of the agrarian classes. Agriculture became their primary occupation, and when the agriculture became the primary occupation, naturally the land or the territories, they became very, very important for the need of cultivation. And when the cultivation became the primary source of getting the food, etc., and production surplus of the food, that also led to the emergence of the various wars and battles between two or more contenders who were trying to expand their empire. Okay. So what happened? We will see the simultaneous growth of not just agricultural products, not just agricultural production, but also the wars and battles will be more and more. They will be increasing more and more. On the one side, the agriculture, that will lead to the production surplus, that will lead to the production surplus, and on the other side, the production surplus will also become the primary reason behind the warfares between two areas which were fighting to capture the maximum plains under their control. All right, everybody. I hope that it is clear to all of you. Now moving further, let us understand this concept of extra produce or the production surplus. All right. So if I talk about the extra produce or production surplus, first of all, this production surplus will become the primary reason. This production surplus will become the primary reason for the increase in increase in the economic productivity. Okay, economic productivity. All right, everyone. And remember one point, that when you have the better economic productivity from any certain area, then what do you do? Namaste Aditya ji. What do you do then? Whosoever will be the in charge of that area, whosoever will be the ruling authority of that area, they will be imposing the taxation on that particular area or on the producers. It is like, suppose if I am earning huge amount of money, then the government wants me to pay a portion of my income as a tax to the government, isn't it? So here what will happen? The extra produce that will attract the taxation. Now taxation will automatically lead to what? Taxation will automatically lead to the income opportunity, right? Income opportunity for the state, for the authority, okay, for the authority, or I will say for the ruling authority, okay, ruling authority. Now, as the ruling authority is getting some income from the taxes, and the taxes were basically what? Taxes were basically in the form of the share in production, or say, right, share in the produced, okay. So whatever is produced, whichever grain is produced, a share in that production is taken by the authority in the form of the taxation, That share is making the authority or the ruler as a rich community, as a rich institution, all right, which means this is giving the birth to prosperity. All right. At the same time, on the one side, the state is getting prosperity because the state is getting the extra share of the production which is happening. Similarly, if there is the extra production which is taking place, for example, I have a couple of cows, okay, I have 2 cows at my home, and my family consumes only 3 liters of the milk every day, but both the cows are producing like 8 liters of milk per day. So 5 liters of milk per day, that is extra. Let us suppose that the village headman, he knows that at my house the cows are there to produce more amount of milk, so he says that whichever household is producing more than 5 liters of milk, they have to pay 1 liter of milk in the form of the tax at the house of the village headman. So 1 liter will be going to the village headman. Still I have 7 liters of the milk at the home, then 4 liters of the milk is still spare. So what will I do? I will be using that for the purpose of trade and commerce. Same case was happening with the food producers or the food grain producers during the age of iron invention. and that food grain production which was excessive, it was put into the trade and commerce, resulting into the rise of prosperity, okay, rise of prosperity and development of the trading centers. All right, everybody. So trading centers which became the markets, such markets, we always have the evidence of such markets which are mentioned in the books, in the, you can say, I would say, right, not in the books only, but also as the archaeological evidences have been obtained from the various places, okay, and which indicate that probably the mid-Gangetic valleys settlements, they were developing as the big urban centers, or at least big markets, right, to be exact, during the 6th century BC, and that is definitely proven with the help of not just the literary evidences, but also with the help of the archaeological evidences. We will see in the upcoming pages that where are those places located now. After that, if you have the market, remember that if you have the market, that means you will also have the traders, okay, traders, and the traders, they will be paying the tax, all right. So the traders will again contribute to the emergence of prosperous state, prosperous kingdom, got it. So that means the traders have become important, the peasants have become important, that means they will be requiring the proper administrative system, so that the entire ecosystem of production, transportation, trade, commerce, taxation, entire setup, that can be well managed under the guidance of the state authority, all right. Therefore, the administrative changes will be required, and we will see the emergence of the official systems, we will see the emergence of the administrative systems, and the officers like Bhagadut, right, or officers like you can say, in the later Vedic also we had seen the officers like Vrajapati, etc. all right. Similarly, the officers like Sangrahatri, or Samaharta or Bhagadut, okay, Senani, all these officers, their positions will be established to provide a better administrative system, so that the entire process is functioning smoothly. And in case of the distress, what we will require and what the traders will require, they will require the security and defense. But along with the purpose of security and defense, just a second, okay, along with the purpose of security and defense, there will be another requirement which will be fulfilled by the help of military establishment, and that is the war and expansion. So we all understand one point, that the wealth and the property and the money, etc., they are something which are never sufficient for anybody. So once a king, he had the proper source of income in the form of the production surplus and the taxation and the trade taxation, everything was there for his income, for the income of the state, of course. Still they wanted to increase that income. And how was it possible to increase that income? It was possible to increase the income by paying a few people, some share from that additional income that they are getting from the taxation, and utilizing those few people in the form of permanent armies, and those permanent armies will become they will become the source of strength along with the weapons. So here the army, right, here the army plus weapons, army plus weapons, they will be needed for the purpose of expansion of the territories, for the purpose of the expansion of the territories. All right, territorial expansion. Got it, everybody? So this is how the simple extra produce due to the simple use of iron tools in the agriculture, this is how it will lead to the expansion of the territories, which means that in this era the larger territorial formations will take place of the small territories. Now coming to the next point, I hope that all of you understood that what was exactly the origin of the Mahajanpads. Okay, so these larger territories, about which we talked, okay, so the territorial expansion that will lead to what? That will lead to the development and growth of, not development but growth of the Janapadas, which are much smaller territory, okay, into the Mahajanpadas, which are the larger territories, okay, which are the larger territory. So this is how the Mahajanpad age will emerge. This is how the Mahajanpad age will arrive. And this entire incident, entire group of events are happening, that entire group of events is happening during the 6th century BC. Remember that it is the similar time period. It is the similar time period when simultaneously the two different type of things were taking place. The one was the development of the religious movements, and the second one, that will be the development of Mahajanpadas. Now moving further to the next point, where do we get the informations about Mahajanpadas? From which source of knowledge? I am trying to tell you all these things. Where do I have the source? So there are, of course, two types of sources. Let me tell you, there are two types of sources. Basically, if I talk about the sources about Mahajanpadas, the sources of information about Mahajanpada, there are two types of sources. The one will be, of course, the literary sources, and the other one, that will be the archaeological sources. And all my serious students, all my sincere students can very well remember, that when we had studied about the classification of the historical chronology, in that I had mentioned that whenever we are using the archaeological sources along with the literary sources, and such that we are able to decipher, we are able to understand the meaning of the literary sources, then such historical period is called as the proper historical time period. Otherwise, if only the archaeological evidences are found and no written records are mentioned, then that is called as the prehistoric time period. And if we have the written evidences but we cannot understand what is written there, then we call it as the proto-historic time period. So as we are learning the new things in the upcoming lectures, let us not forget what we have studied previously. Got it everybody? Now talking about the literary sources. So dear students, the literary sources are basically, they are the primary evidence of the Mahajanpadas, and Mahajanpadas are mentioned by the different scholars, particularly talking about the scholars like Panini, who was regarded as one of the earliest scholars on the subject of grammar, Sanskrit grammar particularly. He has written a book on Sanskrit grammar that is regarded as the oldest book on any grammatical form of literature. The book is called as Ashtadhyayi. Ashtadhyayi. Ashtadhyayi is that book which mentions about as many as 40 different Janapadas. Alright. Not just that, even if you take the consideration of Mahabharata, even Mahabharata also refers about more than 24 Janapadas. More than 24 Janapadas. Okay. If we take the consideration of the Buddhist literature, then we take the references of Anguttar Nikaya. Okay, Anguttar Nikaya. Anguttar Nikaya is a very, very important book which actually mentions about 16 Mahajanapadas, and these 16 Mahajanapadas, they are the primarily accepted form of the Mahajanapadas about which we will be studying in this lecture. Okay, everyone. So Anguttar Nikaya is technically the part of the Sutta Pitak, which has got 5 different Nikayas. We have already studied in that chapter of Buddhism. Those who have not watched the previous lecture of Buddhism, please go and watch it. It is very, very useful and very in-depth lecture for all of you. Okay. Now, if I talk about any other sources, so definitely there are few more sources, like some of the Puranas. They intermittently keep on mentioning about the Mahajanapada age and the districts particularly. Right? For example, the Puranas like Vishnu Puran or Vayu Puran, they also mention about the Janapadas. However, there is a Jain text known as the this particular Bhagavati Sutra. You might have heard this name. Okay. You might have heard this name because it is written by Hemchand Suri. You might have heard that, right? Writer name, I think it is a little bit confusing, so I do not exactly say or do not exactly confirm that this is the writer name. So kindly avoid that. You can search for the writer's name in the other sources, or I will provide the writer's name in the PPT content. Here, this book, Bhagavati Sutra, this book actually mentions about the 16 Mahajanapadas, almost same as the Anguttar Nikaya, but another Buddhist source called as the Mahavastu, that Mahavastu, it mentions about the different name, at least more than 2 different names of the Mahajanapadas which are not mentioned in the Anguttar Nikaya. Right? What does all these information suggest? This all information suggests that there were different Janapadas, probably different Janapadas attained the peak of their economic prosperity, their political prosperity, their overall progress at the different points of time. But one thing is clear, that most of them were located in the Gangetic plains. That is definitely clear. We cannot ignore this fact that most of them were present in the Gangetic plains. Alright everyone. So this map gives you a better idea about the location of the different Mahajanapadas. Alright everyone. So now let us understand the locations of different Mahajanapadas along with the factors which might have affected their location, as well as the capitals of these Mahajanapadas one by one. So first of all, we will start with Ang Mahajanapad. Okay, the Ang Mahajanapad was located in the mid to lower Gangetic Valley, that is in the present day Bhagalpur, Munger region, etc. in Bihar, right, in Bihar. And the capital of the Ang, that was Champa, as we all are aware. Then if we talk about the Vriji, or Vriji is also known as the Vajji or Vriji, both are same. Now when we talk about Vriji, it was one of the most special Mahajanapadas. And why so? Why was it so special? Because it was among the selected few republics of its time period. One of the oldest republics in the world. Remember that only the Vriji and Malla, these two Mahajanapadas, they were the republics. They were the republics. All others were the monarchical form of the Mahajanapadas. And as we saw, the emergence of the larger territories, emergence of the taxation system, emergence of the administration system, everything was suggesting the emergence of a powerful and financially strong state institution, which clearly indicates that why were the rulers not willing to give up their power or to share up their power with the common people, and why were the rulers turning into the absolute monarchical dictators? Because of course there will be the better opportunity to garner the wealth if there are less people at the sharing of power. So that's why they were not permitting any republics to grow at that place. All right, everyone. So I hope it is clear to all of you. Okay, Vriji and Malla both are clear. Now, if we talk about the other features, then let me tell you that Vriji was basically an association of the several smaller republics. The most important among them were the republics like Lichvis, all right, or the republics like Videha, or the republics like Gyatrak, So these three republics were probably the most significant ones. And let me tell you that location of the Vriji, that is in the northern Bihar region, in the northern Bihar, we find the location of northern and the properly northern part, you can say, properly northern part. Okay, so here we can say that these three were the most important republics. The Gyatrik clan is, I think, famous for everybody. You are all aware about the connection of Gyatrikas. In this family, Vardhaman Mahavir himself was born. Then the Lichvis, they will be amongst the oldest and most prestigious royal house connected with the Vrijis, and they will be continuing as late as up to the Guptas also. After that, Videha, this was a very well known kingdom, very well known republic. It was well known because of the extremely great scholars, extremely great philosophers who were connected with this particular republic, right? You might have heard the story of Janak. So Janak was basically the ruler, the chief of this particular republic. When we move towards the west, we find the locations of two more Mahajanapadas, that is Magadh and Kashi. Now let me tell you the location of Magadh in present day scenario. Guys, these are simply the graphical representations. They do not indicate the exact location. All right. So when we talk about the Magadh was in current time, the districts of Gaya, Shahabad, Patna, etc. That is on the southern bank of river Ganga. On the southern bank of river Ganga, that region was actually the area of Magadh. Magadh had its capital at a place called Rajgir, also known as the Giri Vraj in that time period. Later on the capital will be different, but we will talk about it later. Then there was Kashi. Kashi is basically that Mahajanpad. In present time, the district of Varanasi resembles the same location as that of Kashi. In fact, it is believed that Kashi is one of the oldest continuously inhabited city in the history of India. Definitely, Aditya, Nalanda is actually Rajgir only. That Rajgir is actually Nalanda only. There is no proper difference, right, in these two. Got it? Practically they are both in the same region. Now, Kashi was actually inhabited since then only, probably even earlier, and it is continuously inhabited till now. In between, it was never ever in such a place or such a position that the people were not the inhabitants of this city. That is why Kashi or Varanasi is regarded very often as one of the oldest settlements. Then Malla, the location of Malla indicates the present day cities of the same area of Basti, Padrauna, Kushinagar, Pavapuri, okay, all these areas. So overall the regions of the northern eastern Uttar Pradesh and northwestern Bihar, that interjunction region, that is basically the area of Malla Mahajanpad. It had two capitals. One was at Kusinara and other one that was at Pavapuri. The Kusinara, that was called Kasia in that time period, and currently the name of village is Kasia. Basically, that was the place of the death of Lord Buddha, that is Mahaparinirvana of Lord Buddha. And the Pavapuri, the other capital, that was the location of the demise of Lord Mahavir. So both the great personalities of the contemporary period, they took their last breath in the two different capitals of Malla. Moving further, as we move towards the upward of Ganga valley, remember that what is the thumb rule? The thumb rule is basically that these areas were all or almost located at the banks of Ganga or her tributaries. Similarly, you can observe the location of Koshal. Koshal was in present days Ayodhya, Sultanpur, etc. And in the current times, we even find the reference of Ayodhya in present as well as in the ancient period. So Ayodhya, which we think was the capital, it was not the capital. Ayodhya was not the capital of Koshal. It was Shravasti which was the capital of Koshal. Then where we have the district Kausambi, there we have the presence of Vats Mahajanpad, right? And the capital of the Vats Mahajanpad, that was Kausambi, the same name. Then we move further westward. Then Sursen, that is located at Mathura. Okay, the capital was Mathura. And here Panchal Kingdom is in present days Bareilly, Farrukhabad region. And the capital, there were two different capitals of Panchal. The northern Panchal and southern Panchal had two distinct capitals, Ahichhatra and Kampilya. These two were the two different capitals. Okay. Moving further to Hastinapur. Hastinapur was the probably last representative of the glorious old Vedic tradition and the kingdoms maintaining that tradition. That is why you will see that Hastinapur, okay, which was the capital of the Kuru Mahajanpad, it will be later on replaced by the new capital called Indraprastha, and subsequently this entire kingdom will be completely erased, and the inhabitants of that kingdom, they will be moving to the place called Kausambi, okay. Now, apart from these major Mahajanpadas, all were located, right, all of which were located in the Gangetic plains. Some of the Mahajanpadas we also find in the different localities, different regions. You can see the Matsya Mahajanpad in the eastern Rajasthan, in the today's area of Bharatpur, Alwar, Jaipur, etc. That was having the capital at Viratnagar. Then you will see the Chedi Mahajanpad having capital at Shuktimati in the current days Bundelkhand region. Then you have this Avanti Mahajanpad having the capital at two distinct places, Ujjaini and Mahishmati. All right, everybody. So here we can see that even Avanti was also a large state, a large kingdom having two distinct capitals. And remember, the strength of any Mahajanpad, that was dependent upon the two primary factors. Which were the two factors? Any Mahajanpad was considered strong if that Mahajanpad had the production surplus, as well as that Mahajanpad had the presence of iron, as well as the knowledge of iron smelting. Okay, iron smelting. Remember that only the presence of iron was not the single criteria. It was also affected with the factors like economy, that was determined by the production surplus. At the same time, it was also affected because of the factor of technological advancement, which was related to the knowledge of the iron smelting. That is because without the knowledge of extraction of the usable form of iron, which we often called as the proper iron, or we call it as the pig iron. Okay, until and unless we obtain that form of the iron, we cannot use the iron ore as the source of manufacturing the weapons, etc. Got it? So that is why the one advantage that Magadh will be having over the Avanti, because Avanti was also having the production surplus because of the fertile Malwa plateau. Avanti was also having the presence of iron. So overall it was similarly resourceful as the Magadh. But the distinction with Magadh was that the Magadh, it had much better and strategic location, as well as the Magadh had better productivity than Avanti. And the third but the most important point, that the skills of the smelters of Magadh, they were far superior than that of the smelters of Avanti. Okay, so which clearly indicates that Avanti, which was located in the Malwa region, it was quite a powerful kingdom, almost as powerful, as great as Magadh, but later on the Magadh will emerge as victorious. Apart from Avanti, we also had the presence of Assak in the Pali language, Ashmak in the Sanskrit language. The name is same only, Ashmak or Assak. That was a Mahajanpad, the only Mahajanpad present in the Deccan or in the Dakshinavart region, and particularly it was located at the banks of river Godavari and had the capital at a place called as the Potali. Later on it will be the similar place or almost the same location that will be there at Pratishthan, or much later it will be called as Paithan. Okay. Now we have covered the Mahajanpadas which were located in the current day India. But if we consider the geographical boundaries of India or the cultural boundaries of India, then we had two more Mahajanpadas known as Gandhar, which is presently in the region of Afghanistan, Pakistan, adjunction boundary region, basically the Hindu Kush Valley, with the capital city at Takshila. Takshila is located in Pakistan presently. Right? Takshila was actually a very famous location, very famous place for the unique type of the Gurukuls which were flourishing in such a way that the students, they had to go and settle at the place of the gurus, at the place of the teacher, and those teachers, along with doing the household work, along with doing the cultivation work, they also imparted the education to the pupil. And this was a unique system of education which was providing not just the knowledge of theoretical aspect, but also the knowledge of the practical realities and capabilities. So that is why Takshashila had extreme, in fact immense prestige as the major center of the learning in that time period. Talking about Kamboj. Now dear Kamboj, if we talk about Kamboj, Kamboj was actually located in the extremist, right, in the most extreme part of the northwestern subcontinent. It had the marginal presence in Jammu and Kashmir region as well. However, the majority of the Kamboj Mahajanpad, that was located in the present days, okay, present day Tajikistan, some of the parts were in Afghanistan, some of the parts were in Jammu and Kashmir, right? So three distinct regions, one is from India and one is from Afghanistan and other one is from Tajikistan. These three distinct regions, they were supposedly the part of this Kamboj Mahajanpad. However, the capital Hatak, also called as the Rajrupur, this capital was located in southward, that means in the J&K region, okay, which clearly indicates that the area was much more similar with the other Mahajanpadas of the contemporary period. However, if we observe a few interesting conclusions from our discussion about the Mahajanpadas, these conclusions tell us that the Mahajanpadas were probably quite well established as well as quite well known amongst the contemporary scholars. For example, Puranas and Buddhist texts, they differ in assigning the dates, which means both of them consider their own version as more authoritative. However, if we compare the Buddhist text with the archaeological backing, then we find that more relevant and more accurate in the description as compared to the Puranas. Alright everyone. Now, development of the settlements usually began around 500 or 550 BC. So overall, some of the most famous Mahajanpadas, some of the most well-known Mahajanpadas, their establishments, their settlements actually began during the mid of the 6th century BC. I have included a few examples. For example, we obtain the evidences of the mud embankments. What is the meaning of the mud embankment? Suppose this is a city, okay, this is a city having the different houses, different type of the houses, okay. This entire city will be having a great boundary wall, even though that great boundary wall, it was built using the thick mud, but definitely that was indicating the urbanized settlement or at least some sort of economic settlement, because only then you will have the fear of the stealing or the fear of the invasions or the attacks. So until and unless any invader or any thief would be crossing or breaking this mud embankment, the people will have the time to get aware about it and they will have the time to retaliate. That is why the purpose of security was that was reflected through the construction of this mud wall. At the same time, it also indicated its urban nature, and we have obtained several such mud walls across the country from several cities, and especially their old identities. Like, look at this one, Rajghat at Varanasi, then Basad at Vaishali, then Sahet Mahet at Shravasti. Where is Shravasti? Shravasti, that is in the Uttar Pradesh, and currently in the nearby region by near of Shravasti only. You might have heard the name like Shravasti, Gonda, Bahraich, all these are the Awadh region. Okay. Piprahwa in Basti. Alright. So Piprahwa, that also has one of the oldest stupas, is a place which is regarded as one of the most important sites in the ancient history. Alright everyone. Yes, definitely Aditya. Some of the settlements were also developed in the Malwa region, as I told you. So we also have some of the old embankments obtained from the regions of Ujjaini. Okay, and distant Mahajanapad Kamboj was found at the extreme northwest, where the Kamboj location that was close to the Pamir area. Those who don't know about Pamir, let me tell you that if you observe the Jammu and Kashmir region, okay, Jammu and Kashmir region, okay, so here this area is the Shaksgam Valley, okay, Shaksgam Valley that Pakistan has gifted to China, and this region is basically Gilgit-Baltistan, and here it will be the POK region, right? If we consider this locality a little bit upward than the Jammu and Kashmir region, this locality indicates the Pamir Plateau, okay, Pamir Knot, okay. So this Pamir Knot or Pamir Plateau, that is a very important geographical formation, because from that Pamir Plateau we find the extension of the high ridges which have developed as the different mountains across all the directions. That means what? That means that probably Kamboj was in the foothills of the Pamirs, and it was spreading as far as up to the southern part of Jammu and Kashmir. Alright everyone, southern part of Jammu and Kashmir. Now here Kamboj was also a great Aryan settlement site, because we have obtained the evidences of the horse bones, evidences of the chariot wheels, evidences of the several other artifacts, including the painted, you can say ochre colored pottery, as well as the red wares, and these all indications provide the connection with the Aryan, civil Aryan culture or Vedic culture. At the same time, we also have the evidences like the Pali and the Sanskrit uses from the Kamboj. Got it everyone? So we can say that the Kamboj was properly a Mahajanpad. However, there is a surprise that if we talk about Ashtadhyayi, that particular book, Ashtadhyayi tells us that Kamboj was just a Janpad. But Anguttar Nikaya, it suggests that Kamboj was a Mahajanpad. Okay, and it also gives the evidence because it was connected via the road, via the highway which was going along the foothills of the Himalayas, and that highway was basically linking Patliputra and Hatak, Rajrupur. That is how the Kamboj was connected. Alright everyone. Now, as we all are aware that these, we have already discussed that the major towns and the trading centers in the 6th century BC, they included the Rajgarh, right? Rajgriha was the old capital of the Magadh, Patliputra, the new capital of Magadh, Champa, the capital of Ang Mahajanpad, Ujjain, the capital of Avanti Mahajanpad, Vaishali, the capital of Vrijji, Kaushambi, the capital of Vats, Varanasi, the capital of Kashi, and Shravasti, the capital of Koshal. These were some of the most important trade centers as well as the markets of the Mahajanpad era. Now, talking about the last point, that is the causes of the rise of the Magadh. So here I am just giving an overview that Magadh basically became successful because, as I told you in the previous slide, it was a great center of trade and commerce. Of course, because Magadh was probably the last well settled region in the mid Gangetic Valley, because after that there will be Ang Mahajanpad, which will not be having as great access to the territorial regions, because in that era the density of forest in the Ang Mahajanpad was extremely great, extremely high. Okay, not just that, it had the plenty of the resources in the form of the wildlife resources, okay, wildlife resources, in the form of the iron ore resources, in the form of the rich and fertile alluvial plains, which were helpful in okay, increasing the productivity of the soil. Got it, everyone? No, Aditya, because Harappan civilization was not even in the existence. It was already extinct. Hello, Mahvish, Parveen, good evening. Apart from that, the Ganga river, okay, Ganga river and its fertile plains, as well as its trade route utility, transportation, okay, probably everything which was related to Magadh was facilitated by the presence of Ganga river, and not just Ganga river only, the Ganga river, but also the geographical advantage of Magadh. Along with the Ganga river, there were the rivers like Son, the rivers like, okay, if you observe, okay, Gandak, okay. So the rivers like Gandak, Son or Ganga, okay, even if we include the rivers like Karmanasha, etc. So all these rivers, they are somehow surrounding the location of modern Patliputra. One thing, even if when the Patliputra was not the capital, when Patliputra was not the capital, even then also the Rajgir was there, which was located at such a place which was surrounded by, okay, surrounded by the 5 different hills, okay, 5 hills. So we can say that Patliputra had the security of the water fort surrounded by 4 rivers. Then Rajgir, the earlier capital, had the security of the 5 different hills. So it was probably very, very difficult to invade the capital of Magadh due to its extremely advantageous geographical location, right? Extremely advantageous geographical location. Got it, everyone? Apart from that, we also had the very capable military organization, because the Magadh inhabitants, also called as the Magadhas, they were comparatively very aggressive and very well versed in the conduct of tribal warfares, particularly the use of arrows and bows. Absolutely right, absolutely wonderful technology of the use of bows and arrows that was present in the Magadh army. Along with that, the use of elephants that played a major role in the success of Magadh. One more factor was very, very efficient. In fact, all these things, they were on the one side, and the presence of capable and ambitious as well as efficient, okay, so efficient, capable and ambitious rulers, okay, who were very powerful. That also became a very, very important reason for the success of Magadh. In fact, all these factors combined together led to the success of Magadh. Unfortunately, no other districts or no other Mahajanpadas had these factors collectively present for them to grow as large as Magadh. All right, everyone? Definitely. Acha, sir, tell me what I ask. Mahvish Praveen ji. First of all, this course is actually, for the foundation of the civil services. So definitely or naturally, it is going to give you the clarity of basic concept. However, the exam that you are asking for, that exam includes a lot of factual information. Unfortunately, that is not going to be covered. So if you are preparing for the UPSC examination, this course is simply irreplaceable. But if you are using this course for any one-day examination, this might not be as helpful for you as you are thinking it to be. That is very honest opinion of myself. Okay, everyone. So we can say that all these regions became the cumulative and collective causes of the emergence of the Magadh as the first empire in the history of India. So from tomorrow onwards, not from tomorrow, but day after tomorrow, obviously Monday onwards, we are going to study about the Magadh Empire, the early Magadh empires, where first of all we will cover about the three early empires of Bimbisara. Okay, that is Haryanka dynasty. After that we will see the Shishunag and then Nandas. Afterwards we will cover the Maurya dynasty. Got it, everybody? So I hope that all of you are extremely enjoying this lecture. So if this lecture is great for you, you can definitely share it with your friends as well. And in case if you are looking for clearing the examination in 2024 civil services, so you can join our batches which are starting from today onwards 6 p.m. Still we have 1 hour left for registration, so you can actually register yourself in any of the batches as your wish. English and Hindi all are available with lots of benefits for the students. For example, the comprehensive coverage of the current affairs, general studies part, and the most important part, the mains specific preparation will be provided to you through the MRP or the mains residential program, which is one of its kind, one of the unique features. So all these are available at rupees 29,999 on one condition, that if you are using this code ASR Live, then you are going to get this discounted price. All right. Yes, Mehvish, that will be definitely enough. Okay. So definitely guys, we are going to cover the entire ancient history part with this similar analytical approach, so that you are very well versed and very well capable of writing the answers as well as the facts. Got it, everybody? So take care. Thank you so much for watching it, and do not forget to hit the like button. And if you want the PDF of this session, you can join my Telegram channel with the help of this particular link. Okay, so this content or any other old content of this entire series, that is all available here in the Telegram group. So you can join that by either scanning this one or by simply putting it here. So guys, thank you so much for watching it. Take care, bye bye, and have a great day ahead. Let's meet on Monday. Till then, thanks a lot.